Hey, you guys. Sorry. Stop going off the green screen. Yay. Hey, you guys. Welcome to another Patreon exclusive episode of The Litter Box.
Patreon exclusive?
You don't have any nails in your nose, do you? You're not bleeding from
No, I told Michelle
orifices?
about it. She's like, oh, I so want to see that. Not to see me do it, but just see your face.
Oh, yeah. It's painful. Last week was the most horrific Litter Box episode ever. If you haven't checked it out, go back and check it out.
Yep.
Also, thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. Thank you to all of our new Patreon supporters, our old Patreon supporters, our infant Patreon supporters.
Oh.
Who's our good Patreon supporter? Who's
You are. You are.
You're all good Patreon supporters. It's really late at night and we're really tired. This is what happens. We
Can you
always
do the romper room thing? I see Mickey and Doom and Justin. And
you and Jerry are from the same generation apparently, because I feel like he references Romper Room like, I don't know, once a month.
honestly, that's the only thing I remember anymore. But
Yeah.
it's just the magic mirror. No one ever said Des.
Thank you for your Patreon support. Something that kind of came up recently in the comments on Reddit, all over the place, is the topic of review keys.
Review keys, yes.
And so maybe, and I know we've talked about it here and there, like maybe on the Gamescast Live or whatever, but we haven't just sat down and addressed the topic of review keys. As far as I know, my brain is mashed potatoes at this point. So let's talk about review keys, and first and foremost, let's tell people what review keys are.
Let's talk about review, baby. Let's talk
Half of my life
Yeah.
involves going, what games are coming out over the course of the next month? What PlayStation VR games are coming out? What do I have to do to get that game before it comes out? Right? Like I almost said something extremely sexual. I'm sure you all know exactly what I was thinking. Whose blank do I have to blank to get this key early?
Yeah.
And I think that's sort of where people's complaint about review keys come into play.
Yeah, so I mean, the reason they're so important is twofold. One, if we want to get a review out day and date of release, there's no humanly possible way to do it except to get the game early.
Yeah.
Unless you're one of those insane people who like, okay, it's released, I'm going to play it for 6 hours straight and do my review and all that. And I don't think you can get a really good sense for the game.
I've done this. I've done this numerous times, especially during the early days of Without Parole. Where like the second the game launches, Michelle has watched me download a game, blast through it from start to finish, for hours, and then and capture some footage, and then just start writing as fast as possible, and within 6 hours of the game going live, I've got a review done.
And you're super happy about the quality of those reviews, right?
No.
Yeah.
No. In fact, the early days of especially PSVR reviews, not terribly happy with those at all, because they were obviously rushed. Here are my thoughts, but they're not well presented even remotely or well edited or anything. So yeah, like you said, if you can get a game a few days, maybe the good developers and good publishers out there are able to give us keys a week ahead of time. It is such a different experience. You go, okay, I've got it downloaded. When I have a free night, I'm gonna play through this game, and then the next day you can kind of get your thoughts in order. You can write a nice concise review, capture the footage, and then just start putting the whole review together where it makes sense. And then there's an embargo. The review, because you've been given this key, because you've been given the privilege of playing this game early, the one thing that you have to adhere to is when they say, we don't want any footage or any opinions of this game released until this day on this time.
Right.
And that's a review embargo. You say, okay, even though we've gotten to play it, we can't talk about it with anybody. We're not allowed to publish any thoughts about it until the time that they designate. And that is the agreement. It's a gentleman's agreement,
right?
That reviewers or streamers or whoever make with the people who make the games.
Right. And that's, I mean, this is nothing unique or new to video gaming. I mean, movies are the same thing. When you read the review of the event, Avengers: Infinity War, surprise, surprise, that reviewer saw an advanced copy of that, sometimes even a month ahead of time, or more. But they watched the movie, sat on it, wrote the review, and they had to respect that same embargo, except for those sons of bitches who actually release spoilers and say, I saw the movie, and an anonymous source. All right. And
that's the thing, when there are review embargoes.
I don't think I've ever actually said that out loud.
What?
Sons of bitches.
Yeah, now you have.
Okay.
Sons of bitches. It feels good. I think I'm going to start saying it more often. So you respect the embargo because if you don't, then not only will that developer never send you another review key, but reviewers talk to each other, or reviewers talk to each other, developers talk to each other, publishers talk to each other. You know, it's very, if you're on Twitter, then anytime a new PlayStation VR game comes out, there's always this like, I don't know, this very congratulatory speak on Twitter, being like, one developer says, "Hey, congratulations on the release of your game," and they're like, "Thank you," blah blah blah, and it's all this like, you know, camaraderie amongst developers and publishers. And so if you think that you're going to get a game and you're going to be like, I'm going to bring my YouTube channel to the top because I'm going to be the first one out of the gate with a review like 3 days early, well, then that will be the last time you ever get a game early. You will be blacklisted by pretty much all publishers and developers.
And then and the other half of the review key is more pragmatic. You know, we totally, absolutely love the fact that you're financially supporting us. I mean, you guys are our Patreon supporters. We literally couldn't do this without you. But honestly, if we had to pay out of pocket for every single game that came out, and it's just a copy, we're talking a copy for Brian, a copy for me, a copy for Jeremy, a copy for Michelle, that's ludicrous. And we wouldn't be asking, like, I wouldn't ask you guys to pay for that, even if, you know, there's some insane millionaire who watches the show and says, "I'll buy a copy for all of you." We wouldn't want to ask you to do that when the companies are willing to give us those copies for free.
And they're not always willing.
No, that's also true.
And very often we get one review key when we get them. So the number of times that I've told Des, go buy this list of games, and next time I see you, I will give you this amount of money.
Right.
I have out of pocket myself from waiting tables and some Patreon support. Just paid for Michelle's games and paid for Jeremy's games and paid for Dez's games. I just got you a Firewall bundle.
That's true.
So it's not cheap to do this, and that is here we are almost, by the time this airs, we'll be well past 22,000 subscribers. I'm very exciting. Sometimes I have to take a breath and stop and go, wow, really?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Even at this level, where we're fairly respected as far as the PlayStation VR community goes, which, again, mind-boggling.
Thanks for going to bat for us on Reddit, those of you who did.
Seriously, thank you so much. I try to keep my mouth shut on Reddit as much as possible, and which is hard because there's a lot of people that like to keep their mouth open on Reddit.
We don't want to put our opinion out there too much about the whole goings-on there, but we did see those of you who kind of stood up for us and kind of praised Brian there, and we really appreciate it.
Really do appreciate it. But the fact is that even where we're at, I'm still buying tons and tons and tons of games because Des volunteers his time, and Michelle and Jeremy volunteer their time, and so I don't feel like it's right that they spend any of their money to do anything for this channel. And so if I can't get them review keys, I'm buying the game for them, and that comes out of pocket. So the deal is any review key that we get, we definitely appreciate because it keeps me from having to buy it however many extra times. Now, when people say I can't trust a site that gets review keys,
then you can't trust any review site ever anywhere.
And people who say that they don't accept review keys for these ethical reasons, then good luck, man. You're never going to get a day and date review from them. And honestly, I can't. I'm not speaking of anybody specifically because I can't think of anybody off the top of my head, or at least not anybody that I watch. So I don't know like how this works. But you're not. But I feel like when you start saying things like that, then you're covering up for something else.
Yeah, well, it's also you're picking a battle that you don't have to fight because
you're pointing your finger at a lot of people who shouldn't get their finger pointed at.
The moral high ground. You're taking moral high ground that no one else cares about or respects because it's not a moral high ground. It's because it's part of the industry. It's part of how you do the job of being a critic. Is you have to get this isn't something new and special and shiny for video games. Books, movies, TV shows. That's how all of the review process works. That's how the criticism process works. Now, it is a little different for us because we don't get the perk of like they're showing, having a special review showing of the movie. So you come in like it is a actual piece of either a physical disc or it's a thing that you are getting. So yes, there could be some perceived value in exchange there. But I honestly,
but the issue is so how much did Torn cost? Our review,
I think it was like on sale for like 25 or
sure, like the launch price was like 20% off, right?
Yeah.
And so $6 off of 30, which is 24.
Yeah, okay.
Right. And so I got a review key for Torn. Mm-hmm. You got that review key.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
I spent $80 buying my copies of Torn because because I bought the Australian one so I could stream it 6 hours early, and then I bought it again.
Yeah.
I'd already pre-ordered it on US store.
See, this is the crazy part. Like, so the few of you who are still saying, but you still take stuff for free, it doesn't matter because he still buys it anyways 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, and on top of that, if you think that I'm going to sacrifice the integrity of Without Parole for a $20 game,
yeah.
Like no, I'm not gonna do it, man. Because if you've got a channel where all you're doing is praising bad games, it's not gonna take very long for people to realize that you're being paid to review bad games favorably. It's gonna take all of a day, right? Yeah. And so our reputation as reputable game reviewers.
Yeah, this works.
Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah,
well, maybe the idea of a reputable game reviewer, that's kind of an oxymoron. But.
Pause real quick here. Let me pause real quick here because all of my life I've always been like, man, I really want to review video games for a living.
Yeah.
I didn't. At some point that happened, and I didn't realize it happened.
You're doing it now.
That is exactly what I'm doing.
Actually, no. Right now we're reviewing the actor reviewing.
Yeah. But wow, when did that switch happen? It's like sometimes you're just like, yeah. I don't think those reviews 2 years ago count.
Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans.
Well done, John Lennon.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. I'm just not willing. I would never, ever compromise my beliefs or the future of this channel for a $20 game, a $60 game. I don't know, man. I can't think of a numerical value that's. This channel cost me like $1,000 a month to run.
Well, what's my mortgage?
Hey. Right? But I can't. This channel costs like $1,000 a month to run. I can't. Even if a video game developer out there was like, I'll give you the $1,000 to review our game favorably. I'm like, yeah, but what about the future of the channel?
Yeah.
People are always going to come back and say, man, I can't trust that Brian Paul guy because he reviewed Arizona Sunshine favorably.
Yeah.
There are still people out there that don't trust our channel because I reviewed it negatively. Yeah. Which is very strange.
And but there, I mean, there's a difference between tastes. But honestly, I'm not sure what the timing of when this is going to hit and when our Torn.
This is going to be like 2 days after Torn.
Okay,
perfect.
So then you've probably seen what I did to a show, how I talked about a game that I was given a review key for.
Yep.
The source of the game has little or no impact on my opinion about the game.
No impact.
No. Maybe if the developer personally said, hey, Des, I've been working on this. I made this specifically with you in mind and handed it to me. But then I might feel a little bad crushing his hopes. But
yeah.
That's more of on a personal level.
Well, I mean, when you talk about personal levels, like, the guy who made Cavernous Waste, right? One-man development team. And I remember the day that the game came out, right? And I was like, oh, I'm going to check this game out. $10, I think. And I was like, is it made by one guy? I was like, and the trailers looked horrible. I was like, this is going to be a bad game.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I was having like I remember I woke up and I was you just wake up in a bad mood. You wake up on the wrong side of the bed. And I'm like, all right, here we go.
I'm married.
I'm going to stream. I'm not going to do that one. Put the headset on. I start to stream and I just start playing. And I'm in this foul mood. And here I am flying a ship through caverns.
Cavernous Waste?
Cavernous Waste. And I'm exploring and I'm finding pieces for puzzles and trying to find the exit and whatever. And I'm just really taking my time. And I'm like, and it's so peaceful and relaxing. And I'm like, man, this is exactly what I needed right now. Like, I'm in a piss poor mood. I don't know if at any other point in my life I would have loved this game.
Yeah.
But there was a part of me that when the one guy that made this game really knew what I needed right now.
Yeah.
Right. And I reached out to him and I was like, dude, I really love your game. And it was like this great thing. But still, regardless of all of that, knowing that one person made the game, knowing whatever, it just there is nothing out there. There are no external factors that can actually influence what we think of games.
Yeah.
Right.
And I do want to make clear, like, we understand, at least from a logical level, how much work these things take.
Oh God, yeah.
Writing a game is not easy. Like, I've done just tiny little snippets of games for like school projects and things like that, and it's insanely difficult. And I've never even gotten to like graphical rendering. I'm just talking about like, you know, open the door, like you know, good old graphical user interface games. So we understand how much work it takes to make these games, and I want to make it clear we do respect that. But where I get personally upset and you know, really want to kind of like clamp down on the game is when I know the developer has not actually put that effort in.
Yep. When
they have all the resources, like the guy who made Cavernous Waste, a single guy by himself cranked out this amazing game. Well, all right.
Well, it's not amazing, but yeah,
it's amazing. You know, you can tell like every second of his life went into this game for X amount of months. Then you have some games from bigger developers, Torn, where there are definitely big chunks of the game where like, wow, you had all the resources and time and manpower and didn't execute. That's where I get upset, and that's where I say you're wasting my time.
Yeah.
And you know,
but that's the thing though, right? Is that you, even though Torn was made by a slightly bigger development team than Cavernous Waste, it's still they're still a smaller team, right? They're not like a big AAA developer. We went through this entire, it was a long episode of Why We Love PSVR. It was 35, maybe 40 minutes. And, you know, and here we are. And as reviewers, our job is to be like, don't waste your money. Yeah. We have to tell you all the things that we didn't like about the game. And despite the fact that we're here to tell you not to waste your money, and that's kind of our job, it still hurts to be like, you guys dedicated your lives to making this game for this many years. It still hurts me to say it. I still always think of the people behind the game, which is why if you've ever seen a review of mine about a bad game, I still always, while I talk about the bad elements of it, I do try to accentuate the positive, because there are a lot of, you can tell a lot of love went into Torn, but it just didn't come together.
Yeah, it comes to like the teacher coach kind of things, like, except for a few horrific exceptions, teachers don't like giving bad grades.
Right.
Okay. It doesn't make, you know, when as a coach, it doesn't make me feel great to say, no, you messed that up, we need to do it, you know. But it's the only way. I mean, this is getting a little paternalistic, but it's the only way like my students are going to learn is if I correct them. If I say, you know what, that wasn't the best, here's another way you could do it. Now, as critics, we're not teachers necessarily. I wouldn't presume to tell these people how to do their job.
God, no.
But what I am saying is, like, we need to, you know, use what little platform we have to speak for what we think are our users and say, hey, all of us collectively deserve better.
Yeah, if every single site out there gives Torn a 9 out of 10 and then says this is one of the greatest games for PlayStation VR, well then Aspire Media, their next game, Torn 2 or whatever it's going to be,
just like that.
There are going to be no improvements, and it's going to be no more fun to play than Torn was, which I think Des and I are in agreement was not very much fun to play.
Yeah, you know, let's take Unearthing Mars. No, that's all.
Well, I mean, Unearthing Mars, at least I will say,
it's going to be very different
at this point, and this is really showing that, like, man, at this point, by the time this airs, I'll have a review up and I'll have played it and whatever. But at this point, I haven't played Unearthing Mars 2.
Right.
But you can tell just from the trailers that Winking Entertainment said, hey, everybody said that the best part of Unearthing Mars was the last level, the shooting level, or for you PC gamers out there, the first level. They really fucked with this thing big time. And so that's what they did. They're like, well, we'll just make a whole sequel that's just the shooting part. And so even though from what we've heard, because I haven't played it yet, it didn't really come together, and it's not a terribly good game.
Yeah.
They at least listened to the feedback and said, well, if these people want a shooting game, we're going to make the whole sequel a shooting game. So I give them a little bit of credit, even if it's not a great game.
Yeah.
They listened.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That's kind of it. I wanted to get all this out there about review keys and about our feelings about giving negative reviews. If we give a negative review, we want to make sure it is a well-researched negative review. We want to make sure that I played through Torn twice, because after I played through it once, I wrote a pretty scathing review.
Yeah.
And I demoed that review to a few people. I talked to a few other PSVR gamers, reviewers, and I was like, is this too harsh?
Yeah.
And the feedback I got was, maybe you should take another look at the game. And I was like, all right. So I played through it again. and I've now written my review 3 times.
Wow.
Right? And I'm like, and so I want to absolutely, before I criticize anybody's work, before I tell anybody that what they did wasn't good enough, I want to make sure that I've put in my work. I want to make sure that I've done my due diligence to tell somebody this wasn't good enough.
Right. Yeah. It's the easiest thing in the world to not say this. It's the easiest thing in the world to cynically shit on something that's bad. Everyone does it. You know that there's entire podcasts dedicated to making fun of bad movies. You know, and that's a lot of fun. But that's not where I'm coming from when I give a bad review. I don't want to give a bad review and just make fun of something that's not working and say, ha ha ha. You know, like you said, I want to put some thought into it. I want to try to figure out what is it about it that's making me feel this way. What's some constructive criticism we can offer. And yet, I don't like giving the bad reviews. I wish, I wish every game we played was a 1.
Absolutely.
That would be amazing.
Oh, God.
But it's our responsibility not just to praise the good, but also to warn you about the bad.
Yep. So. And that's kind of it. It was the long way of saying, hopefully you will always understand where we're coming from. Even if you don't agree with our reviews, know that we've done our job to the best of our abilities to help you save money or to inform you about maybe games that you didn't know you wanted.
Right. And unlike Brian, I do have a price. $100,000 a year. Damn, you own me. All right, so.
Trying to think. Do I have a price? No, I don't think I do.
$100,000 a year, I would say whatever you want about whatever game.
I've been poor my entire life. This changes nothing. Right? I'll be poor for the rest of my life. At least I'm getting to do what I love.
Yeah.
All right. Guys, thank you again for all of your Patreon support. Thank you for watching this episode. Was it any good? I hope so. Yeah. I had fun. That's all that matters. We're having fun. Yeah.
Having fun with words.
Yeah. We always say at the end of Why We Love PlayStation VR, what game do you want us to talk about?
Yeah.
But we never say at the end of Litterbox episodes, what topic do you want us to cover on the next Litterbox?
Do we not?
Do we not?
Oh, okay.
I told you, mashed potato brain.
What Swiss cheese brain.
Mashed potatoes. I like mashed potatoes more than Swiss cheese.
Well, Dr. Samuel Beckett preferred Swiss cheese brain.
Oh, yeah, no, I do like Quantum Leap. Yes, good stuff.
All right, yeah, so next episode about Quantum Leap then?
I'm down.
No.
Yeah, I'm totally down. As long as it's not about Silver Bullet. Again, thank you for your Patreon support. It means more to us than you can ever possibly imagine. For some people, it's just $1 a month. For some people, it's far more. But even that $1 a month, man, like I said, we've been harping on that. If we can, eventually get a couple thousand people giving us $1 a month, and then Des and I can both do this full time.
Absolutely. And I'll sell out to you folks. How awesome is that?
That's the real mission here. Yep. Well, we're going to sell out to the Game Cats. All right, for another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR, I'm Brian Paul, and that's Des.
I'm Desra. Hello.
Have a great night, everybody. We love you all.
Well, he does.